Hello, making a video with the clown. And it's still sunlight, the days are getting longer. I'm very glad and very grateful for it. Spring is coming. I see the ocean at the horizon. It is beautiful. That probably doesn't show on the camera. It's very nice. So, I am wearing a self-made outfit. Pants with bell bottom and a sweater, all self-made. Isn't that awesome? So that is my couturier collection. My clothes is also my art. I'm wearing my art. And also I want to get my energy together and make much more and make the clothes not just utilitarian, as I have made them so far out of a necessity. The necessity, that's how it all got started. I've always been sewing stuff in the past also, always experimented, but didn't have the necessity really. I wasn't really driven or forced to do it. So this here was Apostle Paul pushed me. I call my husband Apostle Paul. He doesn't like that. This situation with Apostle has pushed me into making my own clothes because because of the heater dilemma. It's a dilemma situation. I should have known that from day one because he did that in LA as well. I remember we were still living with his dad in the house in LA. His old dad would be like this, shivering in front of the heater. I'll never forget that. Next to my big painting. I felt sorry for him. And then Paul would go and turn the heater down. And then Ernie would turn the heater up again. Old people, they have to have it warm. And people who are prone to bladder infections, like myself, have to have it warm. I'm sure I got some Gypsy and some Armenian in my DNA, and we needed a little bit warmer, so we can't be. I'm not a Nordic person like Paul is. Paul is the ultimate Norther. so, so I'm going to be painting the eye area, the under eye area, which is a little purplish due to lack of sleep. Yes, I know. It's been rough lately. So, okay. Arahang. This is the Arahang. That's how I'm going to call this, the Arahang. The Arahang is the wise man, the enlightened man. There are different types of discipline, as they're talking about with the Buddhist scholars, a woman and a man. There are two types of discipline. One is a discipline that is caused by attachment to the self, and the self is always attached to a certain amount of strife and resistance. But there's a discipline that is necessary and that is based on responsibility, and that is very, very important. Because I grew up in a very anti-authoritarian household. That was, during the 60s and 70s. The hippie generation thought that the kids need to grow up anti-authoritarian. It was meant well, but they forgot to take into account that children do need boundaries, not in a mean way, but in a firm way, in a loving and firm way. So my brother and I never learned what it means to be disciplined and what it means to be responsible. I had to learn all of this on my own, and I'll never stop learning about this because it is an ongoing learning process. Important is to breathe, and it is important to always introspect and hear what the body needs and what the mind needs, and listen to when something feels bad. So when something feels bad, we need to take that into consideration for our plans for the future, the people we spend time with, and so on. Very important that we respect our minds and bodies. What makes me feel good is looking at great architecture. I love the houses and the buildings by architect Paul McLean. He is amazing. He's the LA star architect, and his buildings are just spectacular. That's what I love. I love the light, and I love the nature coming into the house. Sun and nature. My ultimate dream is to have a dome house that is very big. A dome house a glass dome that covers many acres of meadow. That's my dream. To have the garden inside. be able to grow all kinds of fruit trees inside and all kinds of food. That is the future, to grow your own stuff. No matter how much money you have, whether you have no money, a little bit money, or a lot of money, the future is to grow your own food in that dome structure. Now that applies to cold climates. So if you live in a tropical zone, you don't need a dome structure. You can live in a very simple structure that is basically open on all sides, just to have a roof over your head. I'm making a video. Where's Papa Dog?
He's on the couch.
Okay. Papa Dog, come to me. Maybe he'll come up now. If he comes up, I will film him. Papa Dog, come to me. Papa dog, come to me, my love. Come to me, my love. There he is. There is the Papa dog. Papa dog, come to me. Come to me, my beauty. Come to me, my beauty. Come. Yes, we make a video together. You and I forever. There he is. Yes, he is mounting himself up onto the stairs. Yes, you can go past. Papa, come to me, my love. Come. There you are. There you are, Papa dog. Gorgeous, gorgeous God. Yes, you are gorgeous. Yes, you are. Very, very gorgeous British guy. Yes, very. And he can watch the video now. It's on eye level. Yes, Papa dog. You are gorgeous. And you are. Papa dog is modern art. Living modern art is Papa dog. Yes. I also made that recliner chair cover. This is very pretty. Yes, you are gorgeous. Very, very gorgeous. Yes, you are an orang. Yes, walking up over those cords. No. It is a cord salad. Yes, Papa Dog likes to go behind the couch. That is what he likes to do. It's like a tunnel. And then he'll come out the other end over here. Papa Dog, come. Come here. Come to me, baby. Sometimes he backs all the way back out. I don't know why he does that. And when he does that, he always opens the curtain. Papa Dog, come to me, my love. Come to me. I love thee. Infinitively. Yes. Papa Dog, you are everything for me. More than anything in the entire universe. Oh, baby. I guess he was probably looking for cookie crumbs behind the couch. There you go. He likes to go into my recliner chair. Now he stays on the love seat. Okay. Papa Dog, you are my gorgeous muse. Yes. Yes, you are. I already have him here on my canvas. Yes, Papa Dog. Yes, and I will make more drawings of him and transfer those drawing images onto my styrofoam canvas. Yes, Papa Dog, you are gorgeous, gorgeous, God. Yes. Yeah. I love you infinitively. Oh. Yes, dogs need a lot of love. Every day they need to be petted a whole lot, very gently and hugged and petted. Very important, all the time. I do that every day, all day long. I kiss them and I I massage, and he loves that. Feels real good. Puppet dog. All right, all right, all right. It's nice here. It's nice. Yes, Papa Dog is watching that video. Okay, so I'm gonna continue my paint process. It is a lot of fun to make. Yes, yes, yes. I cried earlier today, but that's all good. I talked to my friends, Mirka and Ruth, and I thank them for being my friends, and that is all cool. Women understand women the best. You know, that's the truth. I have never felt very understood by any man, actually. I don't know. It's hard. I think it's probably difficult for men to put themselves into the shoes of a woman. Even though I have large shoes. It's okay, you know, I said to Paul, because he's always annoyed and always thinks that when I feel bad or feel sorry for myself or cry, that I must be automatically, it must be some kind of blaming him or something, you know. I think that happens in a lot of relationships. So, but I told him that I'm not blaming him. I'm not. Also, I was feeling sorry earlier and kind of blaming my parents again. I fall into this, you know, once in a while, but I come back out of it because, you know, ultimately we have to take responsibility for our own lives. You can't continue to run around the world and constantly blaming everything on the parents and this, oh, I can't do anything because it's all my parents' fault or something. No, it's not. It may be a rough sort of start. It may have been unfortunate, you know, because society is neurotic and parents are neurotic usually. But they don't mean to do this deliberately or anything. So it's just a challenging situation, and we have to take on that challenge, and we have to say, okay, this is my challenge, and make the best out of it. So I said to Paul, part of making the best out of that situation is for me to acknowledge I'm feeling bad right now. I'm not going to pretend I feel good or force myself to feel good or any different than I feel. No. So right now, earlier I said right now I feel bad, so I'm gonna feel bad. If I feel sorry, I feel sorry for myself. There's nothing wrong about it. We have to allow ourselves to feel sorry for ourselves. Can't be suppressing that. So, and we can also talk about the stuff that we thought was unfair and was unfortunate for us and so on. I'm not going to be hating anyone. I'm not going to be blaming everything on it. It's just that, yeah, it was unfortunate. It's rough. Okay. I feel it. I feel it. I acknowledge it. I cry about it. And I talk to my friends about it. And that's wonderful. And they talk to me about their stuff. And that's super. And I like it when people talk to me about their problems. A lot of people seem to not like it. I think a lot of people are overwhelmed. But that's where they are at. This is where I am at. I like it when people share their stuff with me because I think it's important. It's important that we are there for each other. How are we going to make it? How do we pull ourselves out all by ourselves? So we have to have someone once in a while to talk to. It's very important. But this entire situation is sort of like it's a learning ground, it's a school ground, it's our challenge, and it is, a problem, as Tony Robbins said, a problem is a challenge. It's a school, it's a riddle, it's a task. And so we have to set out to master that situation. And the best way of mastering, I don't agree with Tony Robbins on everything, as I don't agree with Art Janov on everything. So this has to be a balanced approach. We have to take both approaches into account. Both approaches are highly supplemental. They don't work without the other. So it is an empowerment process. And Buddhism and meditation falls right in the middle between these two. And so we need all of these approaches. We need to use healthy food. We need to go hiking on fresh air. We need to cry. We need to think about the future. We need to discipline ourselves in a rational sense, not in an obsessive way, but in a rational way. I can't be running around drinking alcohol or something. Drinking alcohol is not being disciplined. So we have a responsibility for the world, and that means we can't be drinking alcohol or take any kind of substance at any time, even when other people drown themselves in that stuff on parties and stuff like this. Yeah. And then it's better not to go to parties like that. I would much rather go to a holistic party with holistic people who take responsibility for their lives and who drink mineral water instead. We have a responsibility for this planet, for life on this planet. We can't just be saying, "Oh well, I let the politicians do that job." No, it's your job, it's our job, it's all of our jobs. We have to do it. We have to pay attention and think and plan and petition and do things and speak out. Have the courage to stand alone for peace and love, for all life, all sentient beings. Oh, I'm gonna turn the light on. That's better. Last night I was also going through emotions of jealousy again, emotions of feeling abandoned and ignored by some people, like Eric Jacobs and Bob Hickman. And I just let myself feel it, instead of acting something out and writing a letter to them or saying, you know, some people, some people feel ignored by someone and then they write a mean letter, for example. So I have passed through that stage already. So I'm not doing that anymore. I'm not acting out anymore. I did these kind of things as a teenager. So now I have moved beyond that. I know now that it doesn't get us anywhere if I act this out in any way. Some people also do retaliation when they're rejected by someone, then they all take someone real quick to get even. They take someone, hey, you play my boyfriend right now, just to get even on that other person who sees me with that other person. That's all total bullshit. I'm alone, okay, and I own up to it. I'm alone. That's where I am, and I own up to it. There's also a reason why they reject me, because they probably don't understand me. They might find me very ugly. They might just not be attracted to me. I'm not their type, and there's no common ground. So it's not really something we have in common much, as most people have. And so that's just how it is, and I have to just accept that. I am who I am. I'm not gonna. And then I used to fall into this trap where I pull myself deeper and deeper into it, like into that thought of no one loves me, and then getting more and more into it. That's also a real bad act out to do. My brother tends to do that too. Then we kind of rub it in further, and so we can be completely drowned in it. And I know how that feels. I've been there many times. I was almost gonna do that again, but then I caught myself. And that's the power of introspection. So to catch yourself and say, no, I'm not gonna let myself drown in this now, and get into this self-depreciating state. No, I am a good person. I deserve love. I'm deserving of love, and I am a giving person, a loving person, and I'm very understanding, and I can be fun to be with, and so I'm not gonna put myself down. I'm not gonna brag myself up either. I'm not gonna put myself above someone else. I'm not gonna fall into any of these traps. I'm gonna. That's what Jiddu Krishnamurti is talking about when he says stay with the now moment, stay with that feeling that is there right now, and the feeling is I'm alone, and I feel sorry for myself, and I feel rejected, and that's how it is, and that's okay, and I let myself cry, and I say to myself, poor Nicola, you deserve love, and then I say thank you, Nicola. Thank you, brain, for saying that. And then I can let myself cry, and that's good. And then I'll cry as long as it takes. Not gonna hurry up with that because someone else says, "Get your shit together," or cheer up, or you need to smile more often, or don't be so serious. That's what people always say because they don't like that. They don't want to be confronted with someone who actually introspects because that's too frightening to them, to the ego. But I say to anyone, to Paul, to anyone, my parents, I say whoever I hang out with, I say this is where I am right now. And I'm not going to hurry myself up to get out of it. I'm going to stay in this state as long as it takes for my brain to process this. Okay. And that's good. It's very good. And then when I come out of that, then I can think straight. Then I can understand things. I understand others better also. When I understand myself better, I can understand other people better. So the paint also, when it dries, it can create a little bit of a Death Valley surface, but not as severely as the Play-Doh does. And then I just go ahead and cover those cracks in as well with another layer. I think it is desperately needed for me to open up a therapy center. I see so many people in so much distress. Just the fact that they don't allow themselves to feel the emotion because they think they can't, they think they have to obey society, the neurotic other people, and cheer up against their state, against the moment, against the way they really feel in that moment. And then it gets really bad. Then they start to take drugs to cover up that additional stress that is caused by suppressing the emotion. And then it becomes compounded and compounded and compounded. I've seen this many times with people. Seen this very thing happen. I've seen it in myself. I used to drink alcohol. One time had a crush on this rock and roller guy, and with the long blonde hair, and we were meeting with I was meeting there with my friends, and he was there too, and they were playing chess, and I was so nervous. I was so afraid that I would sort of I'd say something wrong, or my hands would be shaking while I'm using the chess figures. So I had to go in the kitchen and I had to drink a whole bottle of, I don't know what they had, champagne or something. And after I drank that whole bottle, I felt more stable. See, that's how far this goes, you know. I didn't know any better. Most people don't know any better. I didn't even know that there is an option of, that was long before primotherapy. I didn't know that there's an option of feeling that what is there, you know, the anxiety. That's for us, that is, that's an actuality to work with, you know. That anxiety, that's our chance, actually, to work with that, instead of run away and drown it out with alcohol. You know, if we drink alcohol, we miss the chance of using this opportunity to get into it, to dissolve, to resolve the emotional pain that's underneath, that comes away from childhood. That's not a situation that is bound to the present. It wouldn't even happen in the present if it wasn't compounded to the past. So, you know, instead of drinking alcohol or taking drugs or pain medication, whatever people take, you know, some people are addicted to Vicodin. They run to the pharmacy all the time. I see these people, you know, in our own community. We work with some of them as in terms of activism, and I see these people. I feel terribly sorry for them. They don't know how to handle any of this stuff, and some of them are my age. And it's awful to see, you know, how they deal with their emotions in that way, instead of not running away from the emotional pain, and instead of saying, you know, I feel nervous, so let me feel nervous right now. I used to play the violin. I had to quit the violin. I had to quit my university, all because of nervousness. I didn't know how to do it. I didn't know how to deal with that situation. No one could help me. No one. No one was able to help me with this, because they were all drowned in their own personal issues, including my therapist Esther at that time. Also, her own personal issues. Very sad, all of this. I'm not blaming anyone. I'm just saying it's very tragic. So I could have said to myself, what is this nervousness? What is this all about? You know, why am I nervous to give a presentation in school or to play in an orchestra? What is it about it? Why am I shaking? It's very, very difficult to deal with that. But the most important thing is that we have to remind ourselves to, even if we're afraid, we don't have to force ourselves to do anything. You don't have to give the presentation. But what we can do at home is we can dive into it, and we can ask the question, why am I nervous? Why did I run away from this presentation that I was supposed to give? You know, in general psychology class. practicing, like for example, making videos, and that's a great way of practicing this. Really helped me a lot. Practicing helps, but more important is to ask oneself the question, why was I nervous? What is happening there underneath? What does it dog on to? What childhood pain does it dog on to? People who had good parents, they don't know, they don't understand this, and I'm glad for them though. Glad they don't understand, glad they don't know what it's like to have been pulled into a terribly neurotic situation with a jealous mother and a father that's a playboy, and where prestige is important, and all these things, all these terribly, terribly unfortunate neurotic things that can drive us totally, totally insane. That will, it's like a trap, almost like a sorcerer trap, where it draws people in their lives back again and again into that same thing, into these same values in quotation marks. Very, very unfortunate. If people don't look at it clearly, really look at it, then they get drawn back into it. They don't, because then they don't see it. They don't notice what's happening. I see it when I get drawn into it. I go, oh boy, that comes from my childhood. That shame comes from my childhood. That need for this or that comes from my childhood. For example, I have this need for proper grammar. It's almost like an OCD thing. I can't stand it when people don't have proper grammar. So I corrected a lot of people in the United States. Even not long after I came to the United States, I was already speaking better English than some of these people at the center, and it's not their fault. They have grown up. If they grow up with bad grammar and bad, bad language or bad vocabulary and all of this, then how do they fix that? That's even harder to fix that in one's own language than if you're an outsider coming into that language. So I don't blame them. I'm not looking down on them or anything. But it's been an obsession, and then I ask myself, why do I have that obsession? Because of my dad. My dad also having that obsession. And it comes from ego, it comes from measurement again. It comes from society, neurosis, wanting to belong to the aristocrats, but that's all how all aristocrats are. So they all have that same thing going. And arrogance comes out of that. It has to do with fear, that has to do with fear of being rejected by society, and then they project that onto others and so on, particularly their children. My child is an aristocrat, so I have to make sure I correct her grammar all the time. Yeah, it becomes a neurosis. I mean, that may not be the worst of all neuroses, because we need good grammar in order to communicate with each other, right? And that's all has its place. But when it's neurotic, it becomes an obsession. It becomes, there's fear behind it, and then it becomes then we know when there's fear behind it, it's neurosis. It's the ego. Yes, Papa Dog, it is. That is the case. Yes. A book sculpture. Also, for example, the older people, as in this discussion here that I'm listening to, they use the word man instead of human. That's I find that very sexist. We need to pay attention to those kind of things. I still see people today who say man meaning humans. So we need to correct that, and and that's not about grammar. That is not about etiquette. That's about fairness, and it's about feminism and equality. And that's very important that we contain words, that we have words of equality in our vocabulary, and not words of inequality or sexism or speciesism. Very important, that we throw away all the speciesist wordings and words into the recycle bin. That needs to all be recycled. Very important. Papa Dog, all right, all right, all right. So I feel a lot better now. I feel heavy in a good way. I feel relaxed and heavy, and I don't feel agitated. No. We feel agitated when we don't express our emotions, and sometimes this is so unconscious we don't even know what's going on. That's why it's so important to become very conscious about the psychological mechanisms in ourselves, so that we can say, oh, I'm not going to run away from this pain right now. I'm going to allow it. Okay, so this has to dry. Now, okay, now I'm gonna use that same paint and work on that before I have to yeah, I'll leave it like this because I have to throw these away anyway. Might just as well work a little bit more with it on this here. This here. That's very true. When we use the word opposite, I think if we really look at it, there aren't any opposites at all. Because opposite means we're thinking from dualism again and measurement. Yeah. Yeah. This is showing. Here's the flower. Let's see. Maybe that'll work. Yeah, we need to move away from all of these measurement things. Measurement thinking. Opposite thinking. Dualistic thinking. It's all not good. It's not beneficial. It's more important to understand why something is the way it is, and then do what we can to dissolve, not be fighting against it, like war on drugs. This is a very, very militant and dualistic approach that doesn't work also. It's just so it serves the corporate agenda. You can't win war in that sense. I'm not free from this myself, but I am learning every day. Some people talk about non-dualism, but they talk about it from a very conceptual, intellectual perspective. I want to grasp this on a visible level. I want to really understand it physically because I can't use it if it's just on some kind of intellectual level, stuck on it. Because then it's just an idea, it becomes an idea. Those flowers, they are extra difficult to work on because they have so many round elements in it that I want to have even. It's very difficult to live particularly with emotional pain. It's very difficult, but it's doable. It's doable if we don't run away from it. I don't like the word humanizing. Humanity is not the prototype or the, the role model for kindness, so therefore we shouldn't be using that word humanizing. That's another speciesist word that needs to be recycled. We should recycle it into the word make kind, kind making, a kind making factor.